When dealing with debt, just as you're trying to pay off your credit cards, there seems to be a request for a tip at most checkouts. Let's bring in Ted Rossman, the senior industry analyst at Bankrate.com and creditcards.com to find out how to cure tip fatigue. Hello to you, Ted.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What are you seeing on your end with this tipping craze?
Tip fatigue, or tip creep as some people call it, really reflects the idea that we're being asked to tip in more and more places these days. So we're not talking about the standard restaurant meal or haircut, but rather when the cashier flips that tablet around at a coffee shop, let's say, or a food truck, or I've seen even worse examples than that. Actually, I've been asked to tip at a self-checkout machine at an airport food and drink stand. I thought that was pretty bad. I've seen it at online travel agencies where you book a flight and they want you to tip for that. I've even heard some people being asked for tips at the doctor's office. Pretty crazy, huh?
That is crazy. How is it affecting people's ability, though, to pay off debt when they're trying to save every penny and dime?
Inflation is really the elephant in the room here, because that's one of the biggest reasons I think tip fatigue is growing. Yes, we're being asked to tip more places, but even at the typical tipping locations like restaurants and hair salons and food delivery and things like that, even there, people are tipping less frequently and in lower amounts. So I think that's really the argument here, is just that people have less money and they don't have as much to go around. They may feel that that product or service costs enough already and that they can't afford to tip extra. Debt payoff is getting more difficult, of course, with credit card rates at record highs. The average is over 20% right now. And the fact that everything costs more, it just becomes a very expensive cycle, unfortunately. 60% of people in credit card debt have had it for at least a year. That's up 10 percentage points from a year ago.
What's the effect on workers who depend on those tips, especially if they need that tip money to pay bills?
This is where I think it is important to tip generously when appropriate. Some of these examples I think are crazy. I mean, I don't think you need to tip your doctor or the unattended kiosk at the airport, but I do think we should be tipping 20% at a restaurant, for example. Some people, especially young adults, have this kind of social justice take that, oh, tipping's not fair, let's just do away with it. For better or for worse, we are stuck with tipping right now. You know, if you're tipping less, you're hurting the worker, not the business.
What are your tips on tips so it's not so overwhelming?
I just think it's important to tip appropriately. So familiarize yourself with the guidelines. It is confusing. I mean, I see it too, just in my own life as a consumer. Sometimes my wife and I will talk about, like, are we supposed to tip that repair guy? Or what about the people that deliver furniture or something like that? The ones to me that should be most universal are restaurants, getting your haircut, getting food delivery, taking a taxi or ride share. I think ideally we'd be tipping about 20% in all of those cases. But as inflation takes a toll and tip creep takes a toll, we are seeing declines in tipping across the board. So I think it's going to be interesting to track these issues moving forward.
Thank you, Ted, for taking on this controversial tipping topic.
No problem. Thank you.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.